Title is Estimation of the Prevalence of Subacute Ruminal Acidosis in Dairy Herds. Currently in France, but also in Brittany, we can observe transformation of dairy farms. The number of dairy farms is decreasing, and their size in terms of the number of cows and the milk produced is increasing. This restructuration is also accompanied by an evolution of the dairy farming management. Cows produce more milk, and the feeding management are more based on silage stock consumption and less based on grazing. The restructuration and the evolution in dairy farming practice induce an intensification of the dairy farming system. And this intensification induces new specific problems to high-producing dairy cows. SARA, subacute ruminal acidosis, is one of them. This map represents the prevalence of SARA across Europe. In the world, between 8 and 28% of the cows are impacted by SARA. SARA is so today considered as one of the most important nutritional diseases which impact high-producing dairy herds and dairy cows. But today, no method exists for a routine detection. The current indicators are based on the ruminal pH interpretation, which are difficult to get, and on the milk fat and protein contents interpretation, which are not specific of the disease. These difficulties in diagnosing SARA induce a lack of knowledge on the disease. We probably underestimate or overestimate the prevalence and the incidence of SARA. Recognizing this, the aim of our study was to get new knowledge of SARA in west of France field condition, to confirm or refute risk factors existing according to the literature, and to assess the reliability of milk fat and protein contents as predictors of SARA. The experimental plan of the study was articulated in two parts. In the first part, we characterized SARA using a pH measurement on a ruminal fluid sample obtained by a stomach tube. In this method, we use a neuroruminal probe inserted in the esophagus of the cow down to the rumen. Then a suction pump enables us to get a ruminal fluid sample. In the second part of the study, we characterized SARA using milk, fat, and protein contents. In this part, we test 3 bibliographic indicators on the milk recording database from the company to test and to study their interest in the detection of SARA. In the first part of the study, we characterized SARA using ruminal pH. The first step was the selection of the herd. We select herds according to 3 points. A presumption of acidosis from the farm's nutritionist, a presence of cows headlocks in the farm, and finally the breeder's agreement for the test. The second step was the selection of the studied cows per herd. We chose 12 cows per herd according to the feeding management. If the farms did an individual distribution of concentrate, we chose cows between 5 and 50 days in milk. If the farms did a total mixed ration, we chose cows between 100 and 150 days in milk. These cows present greater risk to develop SARA. The last step was the measurement and observation in farms. We collect a ruminal fluid sample using a neuroruminal probe on all the selected cows in order to measure the pH. The other observations were done like redox potential determination, rumen fill, body condition score, faces evaluation, diet evaluation. Milk recording was also organized to get individual milk production, milk fat, milk protein, and somatic cell counts. In the second part of the study, we characterized SARA using milk fat and protein contents. We used the milk recording database of the company to test 3 bibliographic indicators. Indicator 1, cow is declared in SARA if fat divided by protein is strictly lower than 1. Indicator 2, fat less protein is between 0 and 3. And indicator 3, fat content is strictly lower than 35 grams per kilograms of milk. 12 herds have been investigated in the west of France. On average, herd had 63 cows, and the average herd milk yield was 8,966 kilograms of milk per cow and per lactation. In total, 144 cows have been studied. How should we interpret the ruminal pH? Cows are classified as affected, having SARA, when the ruminal pH is lower than 5.5. This result is used for the ruminal fluid sample obtained by the ruminosynthesis method. In our test, we don't use the ruminosynthesis method, but the stomach tube method to get the ruminal fluid sample. And this method induces a salivary contamination, which can increase the ruminal fluid pH in comparison to the ruminosynthesis. pH difference between the two methods were measured by various authors. This was about plus 0.3 to plus 1.04. Recognizing this, we decided to apply 4 different results in our study population. Result 5.9, 6.0, 6.1, and 6.2. This table represents the prevalence of SARA according to the first result. In green, you have the percentage of cows in normal situation. In orange, the percentage of cows in marginal SARA. It corresponds to the SARA's result plus 0.3 pH points for the cows which could develop SARA in the future. And in red, the percentage of cows classified as affected. According to the first 3 results, no cows are classified as affected. According to result 6.2, only 3 cows, corresponding to 2.1% of the population, are characterized with SARA. In addition, we observe the correlation between ruminal pH and animals' observation. Only the rumen field presents a significant correlation with the ruminal pH. An increase of the rumen field induces a decrease of the ruminal pH. Concerning the correlation between feeding management and ruminal pH, different effects have been studied. Only one significant correlation between the quantity of concentrate and the ruminal pH has been observed in the study population. Concerning the correlation between milk production and ruminal pH, we did not observe any significant correlation for the individual milk production. It means that in our study, cows with low milk fat did not present low ruminal pH. At the herd level, we observe one significant correlation between the herd milk yield and the ruminal pH. The increase of the herd milk yield induces a decrease of the ruminal pH. In the second part of the study, we characterized SARA using milk fat and milk protein contents. This figure presents the calculated prevalence of SARA according to the 3 indicators during 1 year. In average, the indicator 1 has got an annual prevalence of 4.6%, the indicator 2 has an annual prevalence of 8.7%, and the indicator 2 an annual prevalence of 27%. According to this important difference between indicators, we decide to try to calculate the real predictive quality of each indicator by using the result of the first part of the study, the ruminal pH, like gold standard. This table shows the calculation of the sensitivity and specificity of the 3 tested indicators. We use the data collected in the first part of the study to do this calculation. Cow is declared as affected if its ruminal pH is lower than 6.5. For 143 cows, we have the values of milk fat, milk protein, and ruminal pH. We take this result 6.5, it corresponds to our result 6.2, more 0.3 pH points for marginal SARA. A pertinent indicator should have sensitivity and specificity close to 100%. In our study, the results show insufficient predictive quality to detect animals with lower ruminal pH. To summarize, in part 1, the main lessons are the following. Less than 3% of the studied cows appears with SARA. This is a low prevalence in comparison with the bibliographic knowledge, but this is in accordance with another French study made in 2008 with the ruminosynthesis method, which show a prevalence of 2%.
Are there any comments from this? Okay, So, thank you very much, Romain. I think that this session and discussion about the results and the results themselves, they proved that the milk sample can learn us a lot about the health, about reproduction, and about metabolic status of cow. Romain, I would like to use your last sentence as the last sentence of this session. New knowledge, but also new questions. And whoever wants to extend this discussion, I really warmly invite you for the tomorrow's workshop about metabolic disorders, ketosis and SARA, 9 o'clock tomorrow. Thank you very much for your attendance and attention. Thank you.